So I'm going to show you guys how I prep my hair when I'm getting ready to do my feed-in braids, as far as the tribal feed-in braids. And this is going to be the small feed-in braids, not the large ones. So for the small ones, what I like to do is have the hair already prepped. It's already pre-stretched. The hair is already pre-stretched and it's feathered on the ends. So what I like to do is take small pieces like this. Actually, for the very first piece that I know that I'm going to start the braid off with, is very small. It's only about that big. You can barely even see it. Hold on. You're going to take about this much hair, and that's going to be what I start the braid off with. Now, the strands of hair that I use after that initial one is going to be a little bit bigger. Not much bigger, but a little bit bigger, probably about twice the size as the initial one. And each one after that is going to be the same size, because as you know, as you're feeding the hair into the braid is naturally going to get thicker as you go down, as you continually add hair into the braid. And I used to make this mistake back in the day. Let me show you what I would do. I would start the hair off with a small piece about this big. First of all, this is already too big anyway. I would start the braid off with that, and then I would try to gradually increase the hair. And what I noticed with making that mistake is that my braids would come out way too big, way too big, way too big and way too heavy. And I'll be using up too much hair. So that's a no-no. Well, what you want to do is, actually, it's really good to already have the amount of hair that you want the thickness of the braid to be all together. I hope I'm explaining this right, and I'm explaining it in a way that you guys can understand. But what you want to do is already have it measured out how big you want your braid to be. So if you're estimating like, okay, I want to use this amount of hair in each braid, just take that and then break it down into smaller pieces. So start off your first link right here. That'll be your first strand. And then, like I said, the second one all the way up to the last one is going to be a little bit bigger than the first one. Maybe 1.5 times the size of this one, not even 2 times the size of the first one. Maybe 1.5 times bigger than the first one. Each strand that you add after that is going to be the same size. So I hope I'm explaining this for you guys to be able to understand it. And I have a picture that I'm going to insert in the video showing what this entire rack looks like when it's filled up. And what this is, this rack right here, this is a thread rack that I got from Walmart. And this is what I use to separate my hair. So all of this hair on this first rack is going to be equivalent to one braid. This is going to be one braid, one feed-in braid. So when I take them off of the rack, you could pretty much estimate like, okay, each braid is going to be about this size. Well, about the size that the braids are in this video. Okay, now I apologize for the bad lighting. I really didn't realize I didn't have as much light as I thought I did, but you'll notice later on in the clip, probably about a minute or two from now, you'll see that I have turned on the light, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing a lot better. Now I'm leaving this in real time for the first 2 braids because I want you guys to see what it really looks like as I'm actually doing it. And then I have 3 more braids that I want to show you guys, and I'm going to speed through the last portion of that particular part of the video. But the first 2 initial feed-in braids that I'm going to show you are going to be in real time. And again, just stick around so you can see the next braid after this one. The lighting is going to be so much better. Now what I want you guys to see is that as soon as I started the braid off, I immediately started feeding hair into the braid. I didn't wait. Now I know sometimes with certain braids, you will start off the braid and then you'll braid down a few more times before adding before you start adding the hair. But what I want you guys to see is that I immediately started adding hair, and I pretty much didn't stop adding the hair until I was completely done with the feed and braid. Now there are going to be certain instances where you've already added enough hair so you could stop, and then you'll braid down a little bit, and then depending on how thin or how thick the braid is, you might need to go ahead and start adding more hair, but that's on a case-by-case basis. For the most part, with most of these braids, I went ahead, I started the braid off, and I immediately added hair, and I didn't stop adding hair until I was done with the feed in portion of the braid. Okay, here we go. So the lighting is a little bit better on this clip. Unfortunately, my angles are still a little bit off, and that's something that I'm going to have to work on in future braid tutorials, so I apologize for that. But what I want you to see is, again, I want you to see how I actually feed the hair into the braid. So like I said before, I start the braid off, and then I immediately start adding hair as I go down the feed in braid. So this is what you guys are watching right now. Unfortunately, my client was doing a little bit of moving because we were watching something funny on TV. So, you know, for future reference, I probably will try my best not to let my client do that much moving, but it didn't affect the braid at all. I was still able to get the braids in, and, you know, so that's that. I hope the lighting is good enough, and I hope the angle is good enough for you to be able to at least see what I'm doing. But like I said, that's something that I'm going to have to work on with future videos. I'm going to make sure my angles are a little bit better. I think what I'm going to do is try to film from the top some type of way, so that way you guys will be able to see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and show you the rest of this braid in real time, and then I'm going to speed through the rest of the video. I did switch up the angle of my camera a couple more times throughout the video, so hopefully you'll be able to get a better view of what I'm doing.